Welcome back to another exciting edition of Life After Lockup. I'm your beautiful host Gretchen Barreto.
And I'm Keith Brooks. This week we start with Lacey and Shane. Lacey talks to John on the phone and admits she effed up with him. However, she admits that John has a girlfriend and is still struggling with drugs. Lacey stated that drugs with John went before her and probably always will. Lacey's father still is on Shane's ass and wants him to get off his ass and get a job. Shane says that he's depressed. Lacey tells John that she still loves him and is confused and is torn between two lovers. Acting like a fool, loving both of them is breaking all the rules. Then she says, "What is love? Oh baby, don't hurt me." Sounds like two bad romantic songs. She gets melodramatic, starts to ponder her losses with John. She then admits that she is not happy with Shane now.
We move along to Nicole Daonte and Tia. Ay Cisco. Ay nako. Nicole goes for her job interview and admits to the manager or owner that she was in prison, but acts spasmodic trying to explain herself. Nicole wants the job and says that she was rotting away and getting pale while in prison and wants the job to get free tanning. Oh, forget about the money that she needs. The manager tells her that it's a part-time position, then Nicole says thank you and leaves, but the prospect of a job offer doesn't sound promising. The manager tells her flat out that here are other interviewees that she needs to talk to and they have better qualifications than her. Nicole tells the camera that she doesn't know what type of job she is going to get. Maybe she will do a fans-only page. Tia, who happens to be outside, brings her a coffee and tells her not to take the job. What good advice that is. Don't get a job because we need the money. Tia comes from money and gets what she wants from her family despite being jobless. Nicole suggests to hit up Daonte for money, but Tia gets mad, but likes the idea of pimping her out to Daonte to get money from him. Easy money, like, fans only. Nicole calls Daonte and tells him that she wants to hook up, but his friend wants him to hang up the phone and say no. No. Then his friend asks Daonte why he is so stupid. He is letting his little man think for the big man. Daonte then reveals that his last ex Chelsea, who was another felon, he ended his relationship because of Nicole. She begged him back and he said no. That night she overdosed and died. He blames himself for not being there for her. He has no good memories of Nicole and his friend calls him the king of simps. He be simpin. His friend keeps telling to say no. Why take a risk on her? Daonte knows she is going to use him and did nothing for him. He never even got a cheese frito from her. He is worried that she will overdose, like Chelsea, and it will be his fault again. Tia urges her to go for it as long as she is loyal to her and bringing in the cash. How pathetic.
Moving on to Brittany and Ray. Ray, who started his new job working in a warehouse. After a week, he says, it's a big adjustment. Brittany meets her sister and goes shopping and tells Jackie that because Ray is getting his first paycheck that she wants him to buy her things with this check. She reveals to Jackie that she is trying to get pregnant. Jackie, her sister, talks about how much money Brittany is paying to take care of Ray. Back to Ray, who says he wants to save his money, opposite what Brittany wants. He is upset by the punitive taxes imposed by the Biden administration. Texas has no state income tax. He says he can't save money off of what pittance he has left. He understands why people sell drugs with the small pennies that he has left over. Biden takes it all. That and the restitution that he has to pay. He has pennies on the dollar. He announces to Brittany that he got his first check and she acts like she didn't know and just starts jumping up and down. He says he feels like a schmuck that he works so hard and the government takes it all. Brittany tries to uplift him until she sees what the Biden administration leaves him. He is disappointed. She tries to explain to him using noodles. He is really upset. She is telling him to not worry, it's about their future together. He doesn't want to talk about it and wants to chill.
Then we have Stan and Lisa. Stan is pretending to have a fever and Lisa is taking care of him. He thinks it's special that she cares. He doesn't look too sick. It's like Keith when the bills come each month. He gets sick and pretends he can't see. Temporarily blind and then his hand hurts so he can't use the computer or write a check. Then he cries for about 6 hours. So pathetic. She makes prison medicine then he says what his temperature is, 98. A little below average. He gets a phone call and looks depressed. She shows him the clothes that she purchased on his dime which cost $90, but she wants more. He is a multimillionaire and he is worried about $400. Doesn't sound too rich to me, or he's an extreme cheapskate. He wants her to go to college instead of buying high-end clothes. Again, he is a multimillionaire and he is worried about having enough money to live off of. He tries to talk about stocks to her, and gets a spam call, then forgets what he was talking about. She demands to look at his phone and discover that he got a phone call from a woman named Tina, which Stan says he knows from 5 years ago. Lisa is visibly upset, shaking and stomping her feet. She is pissed that he lying to her, but doesn't mention she is lying to him and casing out his house. Says she can go with billionaires and isn't getting played by him. I'd like to know what billionaire she knows. Stan states that he doesn't know what else to do for Lisa. He gives her everything. Lisa tells him to commit to her or the other hoes, and that he needs to take a class on trying. She gives him 48 hours to figure it out. She wants a wedding date and a $10,000 ring. She is going to get hers. She has other options if he chooses the hoes. Spoiler alert, Lisa is now dating a felon. She has pictures of him on her Facebook page with her. I wonder what happened to the billionaire she says she knows. I guess they dumped her.
Then moving on to John and Christiana. Christiana goes for a walk and says good things are happening for her, but still has a lot of issues to work out. One is that she hasn't seen her son Devin in over a year and a half, and he's never seen her sober. He seems nervous to talk to her. She talks about how she lost custody of him when he was 21 months old and feels remorse that she chose the crack pipe over him. He is disappointed again in her. She invites him to her upcoming wedding. He says that he doesn't remember when the last time he's seen her and doesn't know if he will go to the wedding and wants to think it over. She admits that he was the most specialist thing in her life. Specialist. Like he is an expert in a field. He says that he will call her back and talk to her about his decision. She hopes he can forgive her for what she did to him. Then states that she is sick and tired of being sick and tired. Then John talks about his modifications to the truck for the wedding night. So gross. I could have lived the rest of my life without knowing that.
Then to our hometown Lost Wages, we get Brittany and Marcelino. When Keith pays his bills, it's like the world is going to end. His mindless baffle about losing $95 to the internet company never ceases. He then cries for 6 hours. I need to make him tea to settle him down. Anyways, we have to go to Red Ribbon to make him happy. Marcelino is sitting in his office paying bills like it's a big deal. Then Brittany talks about how upset she is about what happened with Robert and feels bad she hasn't told Marcelino. Amanda, her prison friend, and real estate agent comes over to talk to her. I wonder if she sold them the house. They go to the pool to chat and Brittany tells her about the Robert storyline. Amanda changes the story and talks about her lust for women. Marcelino comes in and says hi. Amanda slips up and mentions Robert's storyline. Now Marcelino wants to know what is going on with the storyline. She tells Marcelino what she believes happened, that Robert is on drugs and took the money that Marcelino and her invested. He is pissed that he was the last one to know. He feels disrespected. He wants to get this right. He wants his money back. Before it was both of their money, now it's his. However, I never found anything in the Clark County court records claiming there was any legal action happened, unless it was filed by one of the other so-called investors. Is it true or for show? Brittany says that she wants to kick Robert's door in and get the money back. Marcelino walks out of the house. He is stressed over the money. Next week they show Metro coming to a house and the audio says stop the camera. Metro doesn't act in shows, so I'm interested in seeing what happens. As I said, I found nothing with Brittany or Marcelino's name other than a lawsuit years ago where Marcelino won a judgment against a pool company. So I'm interested in finding out if this is a storyline or what. Oh, yeah, I did a search for embezzlement in the Las Vegas papers and nothing was reported to have happened. No embezzlement, no theft, no Robert and sober house. Nothing, walang na, zero, zilch, nada, walang na, nothing, things that make you go hum.
That will do it for this week. I hope to see you next week. As always, peace out and love you all.
And I'm Gretchen Barreto. God bless, and as always, please like, subscribe and share. See you next week. Paalam na. Goodbye and God bless.